Unit 2 review. Number 1 says, I am a 5-digit number. The first thing I do is I write my 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My 5 is worth 5 times 10,000. So I know 5 times 10,000 is 50,000. So I'm going to count on my lines, my place values. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. My 5 goes there. One of my 3's is worth 30, so that's the 10 spot. The other 3 is 10 times as much. So if I don't know, I can do 30 times 10, which equals 300. So I go to my 100 spot and write a 3. My 6 is worth 6,000, so I go to my 1,000 spot and write a 6, and my other digit is 9. What number am I? I add my comma. I am 56,339. Number 2 says I am a 7-digit number. So I write my lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My 8 is worth, one of my 8's is worth 800,000. So I go to my 100,000s, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, and write an 8. The other, meaning the other 8 is worth 1/10 as much. So if I cross a 0 out, it's then 80,000, and I put it right here in the 10,000 spot. My 7 is worth 700s, or 7 times 100, which is 700. So my 7 goes in my 100 spot. My 5 is worth 50, so that is in my 10 spot. And the rest of my digits are 0. What number am I? 880,750. Susie collects box tops for her school. Once she has 2,000 box tops, she can turn them into the school for money. Susie has 5 bags with about 350 in each bag. Can she turn them in for money yet? Explain how you know. So, I don't like estimating, so I'm going to do 350 times 5. That in each tells me I'm multiplying. 5 times 0 is 0. My 0 goes underneath my 0 and my 5. 5 times 5 is 25. My 5 goes in my 10 spot, and I carry my 2 above my 3. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. So Susie has 1,750, which is less than 2,000. Can she turn them in for money yet? No, because she doesn't have enough. I multiplied to find it. Do you have to find an exact answer to solve the problem? No, you don't, but you can choose to. So if you estimated, no, you don't have to find an exact answer. You can estimate to find your answer. And if you round up, you've added to your original number, which means you have more than what you started with. Number 4 was a table, and you had standard notation, products of 10, and exponential notation. So standard notation is how we see numbers all the time. Your first standard notation is 100, which for products of 10 would be 10 times 10, because there's 2 zeros, so that's how many 10s you have. And your exponential notation is where we write an exponent. So you have 10 to the second power. Your next one is blank, but you have 10 times 10 times 10. So you know you need to write a 1 with 3 zeros after it. And your exponential notation is 10 to the third power. Your third line is 10,000, which would be 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, or 10 to the 4th power. Your last one gives you the exponential notation, 10 to the 8th power, which would be 10 times 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 10, or 1 with 8 zeros. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then add your commas in after. 5 says, Sarah and Kate were playing high number toss. They created the numbers shown below. Write each player's number in standard notation. So remember, standard notation is how we see numbers all the time. Kate has 457 times 10 to the 2nd power. All you have to do is write 457 with 2 zeros because your exponent tells you how many zeros to add. Sarah has 125 times 10 to the 4th. You write 125 and 4 zeros. Explain how you wrote each number in problem 5 in standard notation. Do what we just did. We wrote the standard number and then added the zeros from the exponent. 7 says, write the number 4,564,782 in standard form. So it's 4 million plus 500,000 plus 60,000 plus 4,000 plus 700 plus 80 plus 2. There are other ways to do it, but this is the easiest way to write it in expanded form. We were given standard form, you needed to write it in expanded form. 8 says convert the yards into feet. So you are given that 1 yard equals 3 feet. So all of my yards now that you're given need to be multiplied by 3. So then you have 2. 2 times 3 is 6. I'm going to write that in parentheses. Then you have 5. 5 times 3 is 15. So what did we do? 5 times the 3 feet in each yard. 10. 10 times 3 equals 30. And your last one, 12, equals 36, because 12 times 3 equals 36. Number 9 says, write an expression with grouping symbols. Remember, grouping symbols are parentheses or brackets. They tell us what we are going to do first in the problem. Stephanie is measuring the length of the classroom. It is 5 yards by, or multiply, oh no, reverse, 5 yards and 2 feet. So, and we're adding, but I cannot add yards and feet. On our previous problem, we know that there are 1 yard equals 3 feet. So if I have 5 yards, I'm going to multiply first 5 yards by 3 feet and then add my remaining 2 feet. 5 times 3 is 15, so I have 15 feet plus 2 feet, and that equals 17 feet. So the length of the classroom is 17 feet. 10. Create a mathematical model for the problem, then solve the problem and show your work. Explain how you decided what to do with the remainder. Henry is helping out the school library. He needs to figure out how many shelves the library staff should order for a new reading corner. There are 423 books, so my total is 423. for the reading corner. Each shelf holds only 50 books. The librarian wants to put all of the books on the shelf. So then it's 50 books per shelf. How many shelves should the librarian order? So, you can either do 423 divided by 50, which is very hard. So we talked about, if you know 50 is easy to count by, so we do 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, 450. It's like counting by fives, and then you just add a 0 onto whatever 5 you're at. So I have 423 books. I need to know how many shelves I need without going over. So I can't divide 428 by 9. I'm going to have 8 full shelves with a remainder of 27. So your quotient is 8. I'm boxing in the 8 in green, circling it, and the remainder is 27. How many shelves should they order? Oh, the remainder, what does the remainder represent? The remainder represents the number of books not on a shelf. So let's write that. The remainder is the amount of books not on a shelf. How many shelves should they order? Well, if all of the books need to go on a shelf, we need 9 shelves. Because if I only have 8, those 27, or 23 I should say, those 23 books are going to end up on the ground. So, are we going to ignore it? No. You should have round the quotient up because we don't want those books on the ground. 10. Make an estimate for each problem, then solve. Use traditional multiplication for problems 10 and 11. So, you have 372 divided by 8. I'm going to make my estimate 400, because I looked at my 7, I'm rounding up, divided by 8, or divided by 10. Excuse me. 10, oh, we're multiplying. Reverse. So times 8, I'm going to do 400 times 10. So I know easily I'm going to write 400 and add a 0, because that's what it is. So now traditional multiplication, I need to do 372 times 8. First, 8 times 2 is 16. My 6 goes in my 1s. I carry my 1 above my 10. 8 times 7 is 56. Plus 1 is 57. My 7 goes in my 10 spot. Carry my 5. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 5 is 29. So my answer is 2,976. My estimate was a bit off. 11 says 62 times 12. I'm going to estimate it to be, so here's my estimate, 60 times 10 equals 600. So now, I'm going to do 62 times 12. First, in red, 2 times 2 is 4. Now in orange, 2 times 6 is 12. Since I'm done multiplying after that, I'm going to write that 12 right there. Now, cross that 2 off. We are done with it. Draw a little line, make sure you put that 0 underneath that 4. Now in gold and yellow, 2 times 1 is 2. Underneath my other, in the 100 spot, or in the 10 spot. And then in green, 1 times 6 is 6. Then I need to add them together. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. 1 plus 6 is 7. So that's your answer. 12 is 702 divided by 3. My estimate, I'm going to do 700 divided by 3. Traditionally, if I saw a 3, I would round down, but I don't want to divide 700 by 0 because then I'll just get 0. So now I'm going to, that will be 700 divided by 3 is going to be, goes into it twice, 2 times 3 is 6 is 10, goes into it 3 times, 9, 1, 10, so it's going to be 233 remainder 1. So there's my answer there. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to solve the original problem. 702 divided by 3. 7 goes into 3. If I count by 3s, 3, 6, twice. 2 times 3 is 6. Subtract, bring down the 0. Count by 3s, 3, 6, 9. I have 10, so it goes in 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract. Then I have 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. It goes in 4 times. So my answer is 234. Last but not least, question 13. You have 578 divided by 25. I'm going to look at that 7, and I'm going to round up to 600 divided by 30. 3 goes into 6, which equals 20. 3 goes into 6 twice, and I know since it has 2 zeros, the 2 needs a 0 next to it. Now, if I solve the problem 578 divided by 25. You can make groups of 25 if that's easier for you, or you can think of it this way. I know I can't make any groups of 25 with just $5, but I can make 2 groups with 57. 2 times 25 is 50. Think about counting quarters. You have 7 remaining, bring down the 8. If I'm counting quarters again, 25, 50, 75. I can make 3 groups of 25 with the 78 I have. I subtract, there's 3 left, so 23, remainder 3. Make sure you study. If you have any questions, email me or Mrs. Gordon. Here's my email. You can email me, rdeboer, RDEBOER, at Hamtramck, period, K12, period, MI, period, US, or you can email Mrs. Gordon, or ask us in the morning if you have questions.